Many people think they're healthy, not knowing that they have illnesses that could be picked early and addressed. The misfortune is that many people come to hospitals when it's quite late, and something that could have treated completely very early on, they come when there are serious complications. So it's good to, from time to time, confirm that your status is you're still healthy, and if there's any illness that is cropping up, you pick it up early when you're able to address it almost completely. Many instances, you have a person who's done very well in life. Suddenly one day, they collapse on the street, and you find they have a stroke. They've had high blood pressure for quite some time without knowing it. And all they had to do was to go for a simple blood pressure that costs about 100 shillings in a facility, and they'd have avoided that stroke. Now, from that point onwards, they are paralyzed one side of the body for the next 20, 30 years. That can be avoided. So it's important to be sure that you're healthy. The assumption that you're healthy can be quite misleading. Many diseases will not make you feel sick. They'll actually be going on slowly, causing complications. But you'll only become sick when it's too late to do something about it. That's when you'll feel the symptoms. So it's important to get checked, because many illnesses do not show signs that you're actually unwell. They don't show symptoms. Some of the most comprehensive offers for the public. This year, we are running a campaign that would see you access a comprehensive check that will look at your kidneys, look at your status, look at your vital signs, see a doctor, optical check, dental, physiotherapy, and for the whole of this it will be 4,750. For the men, it includes a PSA, prostate specific antigen, and for the ladies a pap smear, and many other tests, including I've mentioned the kidneys, your general. We do a full hemogram, see if there's any infection there. We will then go through several organ systems to be sure that you're fine. We can go all the way to the executive package, which is about 10,000 shillings. The executive package will then look at your thyroid profile. It will look at your lipid profile, do an ECG. It's a much more extensive package that looks at many more things, and that's the most comprehensive package you can get. If you can afford that, then you go ahead and have that package for you. The most basic checkup is walk in, see your doctor. They take your blood pressure, take your weight and BMI, check your and maybe just your sugar, and then have a conversation with you. That's the most basic checkup you can do. Maybe you can take it one level lower. You can actually just walk in, have your pressure checked, and have your BMI confirmed and your sugar checked. Those are the very, can I say, the most basic. And surely everyone should be able to get that done at least once every 2 years at least. If you're in the population that is under 40 years and you don't have any illnesses, then I recommend that you get checked once every 2 years. Every 2 years, every 2 to 3 years, make sure you go to a facility, have a comprehensive check that will include checking your HIV status, know how your kidneys are working, be sure that there is no new illness that's cropping up, have the doctor examine you from head to toe, then you can proceed knowing that you're healthy. In fact, when I say that, there are some things you should do for yourself, like a breast examination for the ladies and even for the men. Those are things you can do in the house. Now, if you're unwell and you have an illness that requires follow-up, then you stick and adhere to the follow-up regime that has been given by your doctors. Now, above the age of 40, at the very minimum, every 2 years, but preferably have an annual checkup where you just visit the doctors, let them go through what they need to, and then they can advise you whether you're healthy or not. You know, it's the cheaper option, because these checkups will cost you between 4,000 and 10,000 depending on the package that you choose. But one admission can cost you the cost of 100 checkups, and some of those things, the complications become irreversible. So if you can avoid getting a stroke by a simple BP check, you better go ahead and have the BP check as many times as you can access. The saddest thing, and it sounds, see, one of the things, I've been in ICU for a very long time, and I've met many people who come to ICU. They're young people in the 40s and the 50s. They have a stroke. They've been living life. They are high achievers. They are quite successful. But suddenly they're walking to work, then they fall down, they collapse, they lose consciousness. And what is the reason? The reason is that they suffered a stroke. Why? Their pressure, when you measure, is 200 and something plus. And many times, they just didn't know they had a pressure issue. For another category, they know they had a pressure issue, but they felt they can tell when they're unwell because of headaches. Look, many of these illnesses, by the time you have symptoms, it's too late. Something like blood pressure, We call it the silent killer. So many patients have lost their lives due to bleeds from high blood pressure, and others have suffered lifetime, can I say challenges because of the same. Half the patients who are in undergoing dialysis now, it's because of pressure or diabetes or any of these issues. Cancers, we're in a, we're in a difficult state. Most of the cancers we're getting are advanced stage. People have stage 3, stage 4, the cancer has spread. Yet if you came for an evaluation early, then you can catch the disease and treat it. Cervical cancer and breast cancer are the top two cancers for amongst women in Kenya. And that the leading killers, more than half of the people who suffer this will actually not survive because it's caught in an advanced stage. We are saying a pap smear plus a kidney check, all these checks will cost you 4,700 at referential care, and it will catch that cancer early to a point where you can get cured. So the difference between life and death actually can come down to a simple checkup that's done early. In the West, this is not even a conversation. It's a habit, it's a culture. It's here where people haven't understood that this is a culture that's going to save lives. The prostate cancer is a very common cancer right now. It's the most common cancer amongst men. A simple blood test, the PSA, will let you know whether you have, whether you need to have your prostate evaluated further or not. It's a very nice screening test. Two things that I'm going to highlight. Number one is the habit of self-medication. I think that habit really needs to stop because many people will come late to hospital because they feel they can treat themselves. It's quite deceptive. The second habit is what we're discussing today, where we only go to hospital when we are sick. We probably want to change that, learn from the best, because I'm sure in any community you're going to find somebody who's an example of why you shouldn't take that approach. In terms of the things that make us sick and the things that we can do to improve our health, there are quite a number. Number one, don't smoke. Smoking looked cool, but that is social engineering. You've been conditioned to think it looks cool. It is not cool. It doesn't smell good. You shouldn't do it. It's harmful. Reduce your alcohol intake. Don't take excessively. And we speak about certain limits. A glass of wine, which is about 30 mLs, 2 glasses for the men. I don't know why it's like that, but the ladies tend to only take half what the men can in a day, and you can't consolidate and say you're drinking everything for the whole week. So you drink a glass of wine or two. And then exercise. This idea of sitting still the whole day is not good for you. And we understand you could be leaving the house in a matatu, you sit in the office, matatu going back. Exercise, get to move. And the more steps you take, the better off you are. In fact, we say that if you take more than 1,000 steps, you reduce your risk of disease by 15%, certain cardiovascular diseases. Then we want to watch what we are eating. Right now, we're in the fast food generation. Some of these fast foods are also fat foods, that then those fats are not very good for our bodies. And so we can actually go ahead and make adjustments. If you take lots of greens, lots of fruits, we talk about 7 servings per day. I know that sounds a lot, but 7 servings per day would make you extremely healthy. An apple a day, that's a well-known saying right now in healthcare. We need more sensitization and less ujuaji, because even now the people listening to this interview who already know, so what new is this doctor saying? And there are those in that population who are listening now who will come back with a stroke from high blood pressure that they have today but will not get tested. They'll get tested when they have a stroke, even today, because Kenya, we are experts of ujuaji. I know myself, I know I'm fine, I know my pressure, I know my sugar. We know until tunajua hatujui.